And welcome back, guys. It is Saturday, January the 13th. I've been messing around with these guys. Kind of like Bob's Starship Dock, whatever you want to call it. Dry dock. Space dock. Whatever. So I've been putting together these guys. What else we got? Okay, book review. Barbary Wars, America's Independence in the Atlantic World by Frank Lambert. It was a pretty decent book. While 1783 marked the official recognition of its political independence, the United States in that year was beset on all sides by barriers to free trade. Spain blocked access to the Mississippi, and Britain prohibited trade in the British West Indies. Moreover, the British Parliament, hoping to reduce America's threat as a commercial rival, sought to keep the United States subject to the same onerous trade regulations that had vexed American merchants before the Revolution. The most overt and bellicose acts on U.S. trade came from the Barbary pirates, who in 1784 and 1785 captured American vessels and enslaved U.S. citizens. Those raids by the Moroccan and Algerian corsairs were powerful signals that if the United States were to enjoy the principles of independence beyond its borders, it would have to fight for them, just as it had fought for home rule. Pretty good book. I finished it yesterday. I thought there'd be more action in it as far as naval warfare, Iron Men and wooden ships. But I only 2/3 of the book is really the growth of America, the political discourse between the Federalists and the conservatives, or whatever you want to call them. Basically, they weren't. Every state had its own government and volunteered to give money to the government. There was no taxation. That being said, without taxation, they didn't have a standing army or a standing navy. They had to rely on privateers and militia. So what ends up happening is the Barbary Coast pirates became so brazen that they would go after American shipping and capture them and hold them for ransom. Not that they just didn't do that to the American ships. They also did it to Spanish, French, Dutch, Swede, and any other merchant seamen that were in and around the Barbary waters. And America was so weak at the time that the Barbary pirates actually started coming towards the United States. And basically what ends up happening is the United States finally gets fed up with paying tribute and having its citizens enslaved by the Barbary Coast pirates. So they actually get up enough money. They build a couple of frigates, the Philadelphia, the United States, the Constitution, and they end up getting all kinds of ships to go to Barbary Coast and basically exact revenge against the Barbary pirates. And the United States is the first country to tell the Barbary pirates, we're not giving you any money. We're done. We're not giving you anything. So it's actually a pretty good read. About 2/3 of the book is mainly political and how the United States was basically forced into protecting its merchant seamen and citizens by creating a navy. 1/3 of the book, basically a couple of missions here and there with a couple of fleets heading over to the Barbary Coast and basically kicking the Barbary pirates' asses and putting an end to that. That was a pretty good book. The book's Barbary Wars, American Independence in the Atlantic World by Frank Lambert. I get it on Amazon. This is where I got it on Amazon real cheap. I think I got it for like $6, $7. It was okay. I'm reading this one now. This is David Smith's Whispers Across the Atlantic, General William Howe and the American Revolution. I'm actually just entering the second chapter, and it's actually not bad. I'm enjoying this. General William Howe was the commander-in-chief of the British forces during the early campaigns of the American Revolutionary War from 1775 to 1783. Howe evoked a passionate reaction in the people he worked with. His men loved him, his second-in-command detested him, his enemies feared him, and his political masters despaired of him. There was even a plot to murder him in which British officers as well as Americans were implicated. Howe's story includes intrigue, romance, and betrayal played out on the battlefields of North America and concluding in a courtroom at the House of Commons, where Howe defended his decisions with his reputation, possibly his own life on the line. The inquiry, complete with witness testimonies and savage debate between the bitterly divided faction of the British Parliament, gives Howe's story the flavor of courtroom drama. Using extensive research and recent archival discoveries, Whispers Across the Atlantic tells the thrilling story of the man who often seemed to be on the verge of winning the American Revolutionary War for Britain, only to repeatedly fail to deliver the final blow. Pretty good. William Howe basically pushed forward the light infantry, so I'm finding that pretty interesting. He was definitely he was a go-getter. From what I understand right now, he likes to be with the troops. He's kind of like when Napoleon was young. This is Howe's the same way. He likes to get out there. He likes to be with the troops. He wants to live with the troops. He's a proponent of light infantry, and he actually did a lot of training and came up with doctrine for light infantry. So I'm really interested in this one. It should be a very good read. Now, the other book, The Bowery Pirates, didn't really have any pictures, but this one has a few center pictures in here, which this is the first time I'm looking at them now. The burning of New York, huh? Brandywine. Washington scores a knockout on Boxing Day, 1776. William Howe seemed a solid choice for commander-in-chief, given his experience in the French and Indian War and expertise in light infantry tactics. Lord George Germain never quite shook off the whiff of shame from his court-martial, but he tackled the job of subduing the rebellious colonies with enormous energy. I don't think he liked the American colonies too much. At least that's the gist of what I'm getting right now as I read this. So he basically wanted to beat down the colonies, and I think it backfired on him. But we'll see as I continue to read. Okay. So I did a couple of box openings as well. So, if you remember, I was looking for this little tank right here. And look at how big this, there it is. From the Battle of the Bulge, R1, the commander's tank. And it came in this little box right here. This World Tank Museum from Japan. Right? There's all the little tanks that come with it. Well, you buy them separately. So, yeah, that's it right there. So it's pretty neat. I like it. It should come in better, but Apparently it's not going to do that for me, is it? Yeah, maybe that'll work. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at that. Pretty cute, huh? It's that wee big, huh? Look at that. Huh. So that's it. No. R01. Alright guys, so now I opened up a couple of boxes and everything was such a mess. I figured I'd throw them out on this makeshift table that I put together. So here we have my painted Cariuses. Remember those? Those were on the other table, my workbench. And then I was working on these guys before I moved. So I opened up a box that I think was in progress. And these guys here got some artillery. French in front, British in back. You got some, this French foot artillery. And then in the back we got some Royal Horse. And then we got some Royal Foot. And we got some Bobel Alliance in the back. We got some more horse over there. And then we come over here. We have some Prussian artillery. And we got some Brunswick artillery. And then I busted open a box of